And I can promise you, the stress of this hairpiece is 1,000 times more than I would have ever felt if I had just been confident with who I am, dealt with the fact that these are the cards I've been dealt, and deal with them, and just shave my head. And honestly, like Spencer said, not everyone's there, but that's where I'm at.
And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and holding on while we were trying to deal with, the pretty usual weekly technical issues that we deal with trying to get this live stream done. I'm Spencer Kobren, founder of the American Hair Loss Association, author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. Also happen to be the founder of the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. And my trusty sidekick, partner in crime, the original hair transplant mentor, live from Vancouver, British Columbia, it's Joe Tillman. Hey, Joe.
Thank you very much.
How are you, man?
Good. Can't complain. Nice and hot here in British Columbia. It's a scorching 83 degrees.
Yeah, it is. I'm actually on the west side now. So in the valley, in Calabasas, it's about 108. And here it's bordering on 100. And it's cooler over here in the Beverly Hills area. So,
well, there you go.
That's the way it is. I got to say, I don't mind the amount of work that it takes to get this thing done. I really don't. I mean, but sometimes I think, does it really matter? We can fucking just pull it off the way these kids are doing it now and be really easy. The quality won't be quite as good. But I don't know if anybody really gives a shit. And it would save me a lot of aggravation.
And we could talk about, do it yourself PRP kits.
We can do that. And we could claim that, we could be like kids who are now claiming to have big followings and experts and this and that, and trying to make money off of unsuspecting patients and physicians, sadly.
And physicians.
It is a fucking mess that you guys just don't understand. We appreciate you guys who are obviously tuning in through iTunes Radio, iHeartRadio, all the guys who are listening to the program in their cars, the guys that are watching on Guys from Queens Network, the guys that are watching us on The Bald Truth. And I have to say, especially the guys who take the time to watch us through YouTube, and all of you guys that spend time in Joe Tillman's Hair Transplant Mentor chat on YouTube, you guys are actually, I think, going to be a true catalyst for change. Because the reason we are doing this on YouTube now, the reason why Joe essentially talked me into making this happen, is because of all the bullshit that everyone is seeing on YouTube, because of all these instant experts, because these guys who have gone to Turkey or wherever to get a hair transplant and are now out there selling shit, pushing shit, monetizing their channels, essentially creating clickbait for all of you fucking suckers. Am I being too harsh?
No, you know what? You're not being too harsh. I didn't realize we were going to be talking about this on the show, so I will go one step further and let people know that there are. We've talked about this before. We've talked about this with callers. We've talked about this with doctors. We talked about this with.
How's my hair, by the way?
Turn to your left.
Shut up.
Turn to your right.
Just say good. Anyway.
Don't ask if you don't want to know.
You're a mean motherfucker. Go ahead.
It's looking good. It's looking good. we've talked about this with doctors, with callers. We've talked about this with, with Maria Fowler, the reality TV personality from a couple weeks ago. It is getting so bad out there. More and more people every day are looking at this industry and your personal decision on where to get a hair transplant as a source for lining their pockets. Now,
right.
As a dyed-in-the-wool capitalist, I have no problem with anyone doing that. Spencer has no problem with anyone doing that. But I said it, several months back on my my hair transplant education playlists here on this YouTube channel. If you guys are watching on YouTube, Spencer's been talking about it forever. There are the good guys that, no problem making a living delivering the truth. And then there are the guys out there that are delivering whatever the fuck they think it is that you will click on so they can make a buck.
Right.
And it came to my attention recently. There's some other YouTube guys out there, and I've talked about them on my YouTube channel. Some of you guys have brought things they've been saying to my attention for whatever reason. Most of it doesn't mean anything, but it's come to my attention that one of them, who went to Turkey and he got, in my opinion, a really bad hair transplant, and he's passing it off as this great improvement, and he's now suddenly some sort of expert less than a year later, or about a year later. Now he's pushing products. He's writing emails. He's actually going down a list of doctors I work with, and he's written one email and he's copy pasting it to multiple clinics and sending out this mini mass email saying, hey, I've got X number of subscribers and I expect to have X number of subscribers by the end of the year. I can send you X number of patients every month for only $1,000 a month. And he's not, there's no personal addressing to the doctor. There's no say, hey, I think that you're doing good work. They meet my standards, and my my subscribers expect a certain level of proficiency and quality from people that I work with. I think that you're one of those people. Let's work together. Nothing like that. This is where I am. This is where I expect to be going. This is what I'm going to charge you to send you patients every month. He's never been to these clinics. He's never talked to them. He's never done anything with these clinics, yet he's offering himself up as a gun for hire. And the only thing he's ever done in his life is he got one hair transplant. And these guys are building subscribers off of your backs. And I have, like I said, no problem with anyone making a living in this industry or anywhere else, however they want. But in this particular industry, this is what it's come down to. People have no clue, no experience, trying to make a buck just for making a buck.
Well, and
they
essentially,
they don't care what the information
somebody else
is.
in chat room said that somebody is selling an ebook now, 50 top doctors. I mean, where do you think these 50 top doctors are going? Are coming from? If in fact,
right.
I mean, let's hope that whoever this guy is promoting through some ebook, they're doctors who are part of the IAHRS at the very least. That would be good, at least to, sending people in a good direction. But none of this information has to be purchased, guys. It's all there for fucking free.
Exactly. That's the thing. Is like all this is free.
That's what the key is. That is why I founded the American Hair Loss Association. And that is why I founded the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. That is why Joe created his Hair Transplant Mentor platform and does all the work that he does. My goal has always been, do not charge the consumer for this information provided. And listen, I am certainly not an altruist. Joe's saying that he's a capitalist, he's all in for making money. I am the guy who made the money in this field. And as obnoxious as that may sound, but I did it through, some significant work. I was published by major publishers in 5 languages, sold a shitload of books, was on national radio for 14 and a half years, then on XM satellite radio, then doing this fucking podcast for 20 years, alongside of it. and you're really going in and being involved and learning and understanding about the industry. Now, if I believed that there was some value to what some of these guys were doing, I would say, look, there is some value, and there is to some degree. I think it's good to bring it to the attention, that there are good doctors out there, that there are, some of the information that's being provided is decent information, but some of it isn't. So just don't be stupid, guys. And doctors, do yourselves a favor. Really know who you're getting involved in any capacity. It's no skin off my back. I don't have to do this anymore. I could retire tomorrow. I could sit on a fucking island and get fucking loaded every day until I'm 90 years old and just disappear. There's no competition for what I do. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole. I'm just giving you guys the facts. I don't know Joe's personal situations. I'm not going to talk about it. But that is the reality of this situation. So our goal, and the reason why Joe kind of dragged me into this fucking thing, which is actually starting to get me aggravated, is that there is so much bullshit online. And I understand the millennials, young guys, attracted to these younger dudes as far as the way they present or whatever they do. I'm a fucking 53-year-old man. I understand that. But you know what? With age and being involved in this industry comes tremendous wisdom. And there's wisdom that Joe and I are here to impart so that you guys don't get fucked up.
And it's free.
Completely
free.
If anyone is selling a fucking ebook out of their fucking basement, I got to tell you, man, it's a bad fucking idea to buy an ebook. I've been saying that forever, before this was brought to my attention. I got nothing against this kid anyway. He seems like a nice guy. And there's nothing wrong with trying to make money. But just know where the information is. If it's just going to be regurgitated information that's on the internet, find it on the internet. It's out there for you. We'll guide you in that direction for free.
Not hard to do, actually.
No.
I mean, all the information is there. Look, we've already done all the footwork for, not all of them. I mean, there's some doctors we may not have discovered, but I mean, the footwork has been done. The information is there, and I'm not saying that we're the only resource. Far from it. But I look at this and I saw this thing about an ebook, and I'm like, based on what? What is this expertise that you're drawing upon to be an authority with to the point where you can actually say these are the 50 best doctors in the world or whatever the title is, and then for this other kid to talk about being associated with him, pay me $1,000 and you'll get a few patients a month from my YouTube channel. Based on what? And
also, I'm looking at the chat. This guy Dave says, "Douche chills when Spencer brags." There's a difference between bragging and just really being completely candid and honest. You don't know what fucking bragging is, dude. The one thing that I don't do is brag. As far as our accomplishments and Joe's accomplishments or my personal accomplishments in this field, we're telling it like it is. And the reason we provide this information, the reason I tell you that I don't have to fucking do this, is because we're not concerned. It's not. We're not concerned about any type of competition or, oh my God, someone else is doing something and making money off it. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
So, and people are just, I got to tell you, in general, people are just such assholes. That's all I got to say. I don't even, you try to do a good thing for people, and it's unbelievable to me. Phone number is 888-659-3727. But I appreciate all the non-assholes in the room and all the non-assholes that listen to the show and who have been listening to this broadcast for the last 20 years and who understand what we do. And that we're here to help guide you in a safe direction. And look, if you want to take advice and go out to fucking Turkey and have a hair transplant and do these things, God bless you. I hope it works out for you guys. I really do. We don't want anything bad to happen to any of you guys.
Of course not.
We're here to provide you with the information as we know it.
That's why we do what we do.
Yeah. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. How's it going? It's Nico from Manhattan.
Hey, Nico. What's happening, man?
How you fellas doing? Good?
Oh, we're doing good, man. Can't complain.
Can't complain.
Nice. I was just listening into the intro, and I thought it was also very smart for, at least on through Joe's channel, to have people sign in officially now. At least that's what I had to do to confirm age. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of smart to weed out the people who really give a fuck versus people who are putting out, stuff on YouTube and trying to monetize.
I didn't know it would do that because I set an age restriction because of the language as an experiment, and I didn't realize it would make you sign in. So that's actually good.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's very smart.
I think it's great, and I apologize that I made you do that, Joe, because I do tend to throw around a lot of F-bombs.
Well, it also prevents prank calls, and then also just for people who really give a fuck. I mean, at the beginning, Spence, you said for the guys who were in the chat room on Joe's channel, you were going to start a whole sort of like, bringing people together in a positive way. So I just thought that was really smart.
Well, I agree, and Joe, I
meant to do that.
Yeah, Joe had no idea he was doing that, but he did it, so I'm glad he did.
So that was just an aside, but I just thought I'd throw that in there.
So what's up, man?
I just thought I'd run by a couple questions for you guys. One being, so I'm, going to wait till I'm at 1 year on finasteride before I do shit and do anything else, before I even consider another surgery, anything else. So I'm trying to do, and actually you mentioned this in the intro too, while a lot of the stuff that's online that you guys talked about, sometimes I feel like as much research as I did, which felt like at least a couple of years, it's also easy to regress or digress or regress with misinformation. But I was wondering what I picked up when I saw Dr. Wesley on that consult a couple weeks ago. I know he offers this hair growth blend, and I'm on finasteride 1 milligram 3 times a week. And in his ingredients, there are finasteride 0.1%, minoxidil 6%, retinol, and caffeine. And I didn't know how you guys felt about it. I know it's about, checking out other people's results, which there were very few, it seems. And I'm not touching anything. I'm just trying to get research done ahead of time so I don't bother you guys with these kinds of questions later. So I figured this was like legitimate research through you guys. So I don't know if it's just a topical finasteride, is the minoxidil, I don't know. I was wondering what your guys' thoughts were about it.
I'll let Joe obviously touch on this because he's had some direct contact with people who are selling and putting topical finasteride out. I am. What you have to understand is this is a business. And I think Dr. Wesley is a very good hair transplant surgeon, and I think that he really believes in everything that he's doing. He's helped a lot of people. But everyone is going to develop their own proprietary, possibly proprietary, or concoctions of topicals or whatever they can sell in their practice. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, especially if it helps people. But it's very difficult to say which one, and I don't know if you asked this question because I was like kind of half listening and also dealing with some technical issues on my computer here. But I don't know if you're asking like which one you should buy or which is better, or if Dr. Wesley's brand is better than anybody else's brand. Is that what you're getting at?
That's a good question. I don't even know myself. It's more of just putting it out there as just as a possible supplement, or I don't know. I mean, because being that you have X amount of donor, to see what its potential might be, is it a good thing to try to sample? Because I know minoxidil ends up being like crack, I guess, in its own way.
Did you say? And remind me because I am forgetful. Are you currently on oral finasteride, or are you one of the guys who can't use it?
I am. I am on oral. Okay. 1 milligram 3 times a week right now.
Okay. Here's the thing: if you're trying to save your donor and you're trying to strengthen your donor, really, oral finasteride is the way to go. I mean, imagine trying to rub this crap all over your scalp every day and try to get every single, have it absorbed by every single hair follicle in the donor area, or even in your, wherever you have native hair. That's a tough thing to accomplish. And there's going to be a slightly different dosage that's going to be spread to different parts of the scalp. That's the reality of using a topical. Topicals are pains in the asses. They're very difficult to use. I believe that they're hit or misses. I do believe that there has been some real strong proof that topical finasterides mixed with different agents can benefit those, especially those who can't use oral finasteride, with mitigating the possibility of side effects. You know,
Right.
so that's or mitigating side effects. That's why it's out there. But I think if you're doing well on finasteride, I wouldn't fuck with anything. I wouldn't put anything on my scalp. And Joe, I mean, how do you feel about this?
Well, I feel like minoxidil is one of the better examples of the difference between topical and oral. Topical minoxidil is effective for some people to varying degrees, but then you've got oral minoxidil, which a lot of people don't even know about. And every case I've heard of where oral minoxidil is used instead of topical, it's more effective. Also more side effects as well. But that's there's a direct correlation between that and then topical versus oral finasteride. You get, in my opinion, and what I've seen demonstrated, on various cases, you get fewer side effects. You also get lesser efficacy because of the inconsistency with the delivery. I mean, when you're taking a pill every day, be it Lonitin, which is minoxidil, or finasteride, Propecia, generic, Proscar, whatever, and you do it on a consistent basis, you're maintaining specific levels as a baseline for your intake, and that's where part of the efficacy comes from the maintaining of that level in your system. It's like Spencer said, you don't need to worry about a little bit more is in this area than in that area, and then of course there's the styling issues that go along with it. If it's as a mousse, if it's as just a liquid. I mean, there's so many things to consider. I think it's a great alternative in general if you can't tolerate the sides from oral finasteride, but specifically towards Dr. Wesley's formulation, I've talked to him about it, and he claims, and I have no reason not to believe him. He claims it's a great combination, especially with the retinol and with the caffeine that he put in it.
Right.
It makes sense. I mean, on the surface, but I don't know personally. I don't know of anyone that's used it that has reported back to me. You're the second person in 2 days that has brought it up in my presence. And also the other guy was asking me about something called Nutrafol, which is also, I believe, a Dr. Wesley product. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, in general, I think that there will be some that are better than others, just like generics. Some generics are better than others. The question is which one, and how are you going to figure it out based on personal experience? Because you got to use it for a bare minimum 6 months just to know if it's going to do anything. So I feel that oral finasteride, oral Propecia, Proscar cut it up into quarters is better than any topical. But if you're going to use a topical, do all the research you can. I mean, talk to people that are using them. Like in the chat room, we got Rob, goes by Bacatero Lion, who is using the 82F? 82F by Dr. Bauman. I know several people using it.
I think Dr. Bauman does 82Z, 82M. I think Dr. Ziering does 82Z. I think I think basically it's 82 with the fucking letter of the fucking doctor's last name.
Why 82?
Or whatever.
What does 82 stand for?
I can't even tell you. It's very possible they're getting it from the same general manufacturers. Who the fuck knows what's going on? This is all I know. These products can work. All of these agents can help. I am not a fan of any of them for the long term. I'm not a physician, but if you're doing well on finasteride, there's just no reason to fuck with anything. Do not be greedy, because minoxidil, anything that has either retinoic acid, or minoxidil, any type of topical agent like that will affect it. Well, in essence, if you start using it, there's some guys who are going to go through massive sheds.
Camera dude.
Oh, thanks. Massive sheds, and you don't want to deal with that. Yeah. If you're currently going through a shed, and you're fucking freaking out, then there's really no harm in starting something new. But You know, I am just not. If you can stay away from topicals, stay away from topicals because they're very difficult to use, and I really think they are a last resort.
And for God's sakes, don't change up your routine, especially where you are right now, just a few months after a surgery.
Right.
Just
I'm at 11 months now, but yeah, it feels still fresh.
Who did your last surgery?
Oh, that was with Dr. Dorn.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, just stay the course, and you know, you're using oral now, or are you using topical, or you're just considering
I'm
topical?
just using 1 milligram oral.
Okay. All right. And how long have you been using that?
It's funny because I've just barely finished up a 3-month supply of generic, and I actually just picked up name brand.
Okay.
And I pretty much just stopped shedding, so I know that might be something. I don't know whether that matters too much or not, but so I'm definitely creating the baseline to see how Propecia works, finasteride works after a full year before I do anything else. I'm just trying to get some research done because it was such a low percentage of finasteride, so I didn't know if that was overdoing it also, if I ever tried to go and try this formula or whatnot. So
no, I also may, and again, I don't mean to cut you off. I also may. I'm looking at the chair right now that 82M and 82F seem to be is being sold by the same people, because maybe 82M is 82 minoxidil, 82F is 82 finasteride.
Right.
So that's one thing. But there's also an 82Z, which is which
combination maybe.
That's being sold by Dr. Craig Ziering's office. So so initially when I first saw 82M and 82Z, I was like, okay, well 82Z is because of Ziering. So I don't know. Maybe there's I can't say it. Azelaic acid.
Azelaic acid. Yeah.
So maybe that's it. So I could be wrong about that, but all I know is that everyone's selling some 82 stuff, and I know that these agents can work, and I think there's a place for them. But if you're doing well on oral finasteride, stick with it. You just said that you switched up and you were shedding, and then
my shed pretty much stopped. I mean, the occasional hair here and there, and I picked up name brand just for consistency's sake for the future.
Right.
So I mean, that's pretty much the route I want to go at this moment.
That's a smart route in my view.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess being that I'm just trying to ask questions ahead of time,
that's cool.
So I don't have to bother you guys later. Is the other thing I was going to ask was, say I decided. Well, I guess have you seen really good? I know scar tissue always comes up in the conversation. FUE into a scar. So I guess I guess I'm starting brain fog now.
Jesus. It already happened.
I know, right? No shit. Say I decide to, I already cut myself, had surgery. Say I don't want to, if it becomes too overwhelming, surgery and then worrying too much about my hair and fucking this, that. If I ever wanted to do FUE into the scar, how do you guys, I mean, I've seen a ton of results, but they vary, and I understand sometimes shit can be too clumpy. I understand sometimes beard hair could be a good option. There's no general thoughts, if you could.
I'll let Joe answer this, and then I could jump in.
Well, I think the most realistic approach with FUE into scar is to take it slow, small sessions, expect the worst and hope for the best, because it is, you're dealing, it depends on the donor source. Is it beard hair? Is it other scalp hair? It depends on how thick the scar tissue is. It depends on, obviously, the skill of the surgeon that's performing the procedure. I think that it also depends on how it blends. Like if you have fine, light hair, but you have a dark, coarse beard, and that's your donor source. I mean, do you want to use that to begin with? So you got to make smart choices, and these are choices, these are decisions that you can control for an outcome that you can't control. And that's what's fucked up about this. So I think that going in for, a couple hundred grafts to start, along the entirety of a donor scar to see how that works, I think that's the safest thing to do, because you don't want to throw 700, 800, 1,000 grafts or whatever at a donor scar to have 50% survival, which, on the flip side is 50% failure or worse, which is a waste of money, and it's not cheap. I mean, you're going to be charged anywhere from $6 to $10, maybe even $12 a graft for something like that, because, and the economics of that is when you go into a clinic, it costs them a couple grand just to open the door to let you in, because they got their technicians, they got all of the supplies they have to crack open, like saline bags. Once you open them, you can't reuse them. You can't close them up and save the rest for later. Your anesthesia, your needles, everything. It's all expensive, and that is already there waiting for you when you walk in the door. So it's going to cost more on average per graft to have smaller procedures, but it's still for your, it's still in your best interest for the long term.
And because of physiology and everything else, you never know.
Now, I want you guys to really focus on or kind of step back and listen to what Joe just said. That is information that no one online would ever be able to share with you as eloquently and as, from such an expert lens as Joe's. That's the reality of what is being done here at the Bald Truth. No one's talking about the expense of disposables. No one's talking about how much it's costing to turn on those fucking lights and have those techs come in and explaining to you that is why a lot of decisions are being made in the OR. That is why, sadly, a lot of people feel like they're being overpromised and underdelivered. And doctors are underdelivering. That is why certain things are going on that are pretty fucking shady, like if they're using devices and you can count only 1,500 holes essentially in the back of your scalp, but somehow they got 3,000 grafts out of that. It's because they're fucking splitting grafts and charging you for that.
Yep.
And these are all things, and there are many reasons for that. Some reasons are, say someone is using a device where there's a $1 per graft model. Every time you go in and you work with a doctor who's using that device, if you're signed up for 2,000 grafts, that doctor has to provide, besides all the other overhead, $2,000 to the company whose machine they are using.
Yeah, which is crazy.
So all of these shortcuts are being added on that no one fucking knows about. They think they're getting state-of-the-art technology. That's why they're paying more. That's why they're, It's a fucking mess. So I just wanted to point out what Joe just said. That is such incredible insider baseball information.
Yep. Fucking huge.
Yeah. So
and you heard it here first on The Bald Truth.
Yeah. But no, honestly, dude, I mean, you're joking around, and I appreciate your sense of humor, Joe, but that really is some fucking serious shit that no one really is provided access to. And
I think that was my point in your intro. You guys were saying how much is available online, but that's the kind of shit that's not available online, and that's why I'm glad we had to sign in. At least I had to sign in today. It's just getting the solid truth and information. And man, damn.
Well, guys in the chat room, obviously you guys had to sign in. Let me know what you think of this, because the reason why I did this is because of the language, because of Spencer Kobren and his foul language. For crying out loud, for gosh sakes. Yeah. And
dude, my mother died 20 years ago. I haven't had to hear this shit in a long time. So
language
also prevents prank calls and all that bullshit too. So that's good.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't prevent prank calls because people are calling. They're calling the actual phone number outside of it. But I did it
people
because
can call from iTunes. People call from
I wanted to avoid any sort of flagging by YouTube for the language, because sometimes they do flag for that stuff.
Dude, I was on the radio for 15 years. I don't have to use the language. I could control myself. But, if you'd like me to do that, I'll do that.
But you're holding back, and I don't want you to hold back.
Okay, all right.
Don't hold back.
I guess,
anyway, just curious what people thought of it, and I think everyone's supporting it. So cool, good.
Well, listen, man. Here's the thing. You haven't even been cut yet, and you're already thinking so far down the line.
Oh no, I've been cut.
Oh, you have been cut.
23.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said that you weren't cut yet.
No. If I wanted to bail from, worrying about more procedures, money, worrying about my hair, say I wanted to go with more of just the bald look, it was like a 3-guard kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking about the FUE into the scar.
Yeah, and I think Joe gave a good response. But the thing is, I've seen some really good results, but I've also seen some results that looked good at like a number 3 guard.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It was a 3-guard type of action.
Yeah, and then guys who've tried to go down to a number 1 guard didn't look so good. So you have to understand what the possible limitations are, and it's all based on your physiology, luck, and also the skill of the doctor.
And sorry, just the last part of it is generally trying to go with a tricho closure typical before doing that kind.
I'm going to give you some more inside baseball about a tricho closure or a ledge closure, or these are closures that have been were initially developed in mainstream plastic surgery, and it definitely makes sense. Okay, let's bevel these fucking edges. And hope that the beveled edges are so thin, because we know that hair can grow through a lot, that hair will actually make its way through that beveled skin or that thinner skin. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. I would say, and this is not going to be very popular amongst the IAHRS members and other physicians out there, it is like a fucking roll of the dice. I don't care if they say that you have a trichophytic closure. As far as it being a closure that looks like there's been no scar there, it's very unusual for that to occur. I've never seen a completely grown in where all the hair is grown through that scalp. Now, if it's undermined correctly, it's possible that using the tricho could possibly lessen tension, so there's going to be less stretch back, and there will be some hairs that go through. So in general, the scar could look better, but I have never seen a trichophytic closure where it looked like there was no scar.
I will take it one step further. Before I do, I need to address Pitt W in the chat room. He says the number seems to not work for the call-in. Just finished an HT with Dr. Charles. Would like to give my feedback. If you're not getting like a voicemail or something, when you're calling in and it seems to hang up, it means that the lines are busy. It's not fixed on that end of it yet, so just keep calling back.
I can't fix it. I've been trying, dude. I don't know what's going on. I have to change service providers. But yeah, Joe's right. Essentially, we don't have a busy signal. That means if you're hearing something click on for a while, or if it's going to like a prompt that says you're in a voicemail box or whatever it is, that means that all the lines are lit. So keep calling. So to address your question about trichophytic, what Spencer said about it being in plastic surgery is absolutely correct. It was it's used, actually it was used a lot for hairline lowering procedures where hairlines were lowered on females, and there'd be just a very faint scar that the hair would grow through, and usually and because the face tends to heal better than the back of the scalp, the scar line would be nearly imperceptible. I mean, they would work really well. But when you apply that to hair restoration, one of the more common questions I get is, I'm going to get a better scar with tricho. Technically, your scar isn't affected at all, and in fact, it can be made worse. And the reason being, I'm talking about the scar tissue that forms itself, and the reason being is in order to make that beveled flap, they're cutting off an additional up to 2 millimeters of skin on either side of the wound. And they're also thinning out each end of the closure of the wound. So if it's not undermined, if it's not strengthened underneath correctly, a little bit of extra tension is going to cause stretch back.
Exactly. And there's one school of thought that bevels the top edge of the wound, another school of thought that bevels the bottom edge of the wound to where the opposite edge overlaps it, and that's where the hair grows through. But because you're cutting off an additional, up to 2 millimeters of tissue, that's more of a gap to close. Okay, so this is why in a lot of clinics you'll hear the doctor say, well, we don't want to do a tricho until we're actually done with your strip surgeries. If we're planning on 2-3 strip surgeries over the course of 5 or 8 years or whatever, we'll leave the tricho for the end. Because that's additional tissue that we don't need to take out until the final point. But Beyond that, again, it doesn't affect the scar tissue itself. In fact, it can make it wider. What we're hoping for is simply the growth of hair through the scar tissue. As Spencer said, it grows through a lot. I like the term "hair will find a way," borrowing from "Life Will Find a Way" in Jurassic Park. But it's very inconsistent. You can get hairballs that form because they're trapped underneath the scar tissue where they don't find a way, and there's some complications that go along with it. So
there's a lot of marketing when it comes to there's a lot of marketing when it comes to trichophytic closure. It's used to create a greater level of confidence in strip patients and for strip surgeons to perform strip surgery.
Well said. Yeah. Well said.
But there's nothing. But with all of it said, if it's done correctly by the right person, like I would say, like a person like Paul Rose, who actually was the first to write about it in surgical hair restoration. He coined it. The term that he used was ledge closure, and that's right. He is really good at it, and so is Bernie Nussbaum. And there are some other guys who are just really good at it. I think they have very consistent ledge closures, but not everyone who there are plenty of guys out there who found their doctor through YouTube who thought they were getting a trichophytic closure. They were going to have an imperceptible scar. Who are complaining about having fucked up scars, and the reason they're so stretched is because the tissue has been weakened because of that ledge.
Wow.
Yep.
And it's, again, another lesson you guys aren't going to learn on YouTube.
There you go.
So, anyway, I'm not trying to talk you out of having another surgery. What I'm trying to say is just, understand that a lot of these guys use all of these terms as marketing terms, and it's all one size fits all, and it makes everyone feel so warm and fuzzy and safe. And if you know what you're getting into, you can ask to see this particular physician's tricho. You can ask to see patients and meet with patients, speak to them who've had these types of closures by the surgeon that you're going to go to. Who did you go to originally?
I went to Dr. Dauer originally. Got 2,300 grafts, 15 in the hairline, 8 on top.
And how was your scar?
So in talking about a second surgery with Dr. Doran.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Guys, hold on. We will take your calls in a second. 888-659-3727. And everyone who's trying to call in, I'm sorry, all of our lines are lit. But we will, as soon as the call drops, you'll get through. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I apologize to the guys waiting. So Dr. Dorn wanted to do, if I did a second surgery, would be a small revision above the right ear. There's like 3 spots across the whole scar that are, so the trouble spots. Nothing major, but, something worth revising, so.
Yeah, and there's always, doesn't matter who you go to. Dr. Dorn is really good at what he does. He's a caring physician. He spends a lot of time with people during his consultations, even though they have a patient advisor as well, who's a very good patient advisor, by the way.
Yeah, I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
Here.
Yeah. I mean that's the nature of cosmetic surgery, and especially hair transplant surgery. So anyone who believes that they are going to come away from this 100% scot-free of any issues, that's the very best case scenario that you can hope for. That is usually not the problem. But the issues can be minor. And if you understand what the issues are, you're not going to be all freaked out about them if they happen. So.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking everything, trying to at least ahead of time. But I guess I'm going to have to do, and I'll go in a sec so guys can call and get time with you.
Yeah, you know what? Why don't you call back next Friday? Call back on Friday if you want, if you have any more questions.
Right.
We'll do it. Yeah. All right, guys. I really appreciate your time, and good luck with the rest of the show. I'll be watching.
You got it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for calling.
Take care.
Guys.
All right.
Be well.
Phone number 888-659-3727. See, as soon as the phone line drops, you guys can call in and try to get in. Again, it's 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
What's up, guys? It's Warren from Honolulu.
What's up, Warren? How are you, man?
Officer Warren.
Doing good.
RoboCop.
10-4. Yep. How are you guys doing?
We're hanging in there, man.
doing her best.
Hanging in there. Yeah. Sorry about technical problems and maybe a little bit of an attitude when I get on the air, but I'm just like, God Almighty, I'm just so. It really frustrates me to see what's happening out there and how many people are still. There's just like a new con created almost every day in this industry.
Whether they even realize it's a con or not, they're making a con or not.
Exactly.
Oh, no, that's why I wanted to call and just say I'm so glad you guys were bringing that up again and, talking about, when guys get the surgeries and they don't know how much they're getting. I mean, hell, I still don't even know how much I got to this day. They said $3,000. Like, I don't even know. There's no way you can prove it.
Here's the thing, Warren. I'm glad you called because, Spencer, Warren and I had a couple of emails back and forth, as you know, and I was finally able to get to his last email. He's been asking past couple of shows, and I've been busy, but I finally got this email back to him. And if it's okay with you, Warren, I'm just going to repeat what we were discussing. Because you brought it up on the air anyway. So he keeps asking us on air, Spencer, about his crown. He's waiting for the crown to grow, and so I finally looked at this email, and he's got these images of his post-op. I meant to send them to you earlier. The doctor didn't even place grafts into the crown. He placed them at the very vertex, and then just like a few grafts into the top. Barely the top half of the crown, and the rest of it below.
Well, in a way, that's really good news.
Was completely untouched. So yeah, it's good news. But what I want to say to you, Warren, is you fucking won, dude. Like, you were bald as fuck.
Yeah.
You were bald as I can say that now because of the age restriction. You were bald as fuck, and only 3,000 grafts. I'll tell you why the 3,000 grafts gave you that coverage too. I can't say with any sort of certainty that your grafts were like divvied up and divided up just to cost or to be able to charge you more. I think that you probably got close to 3,000 grafts, give or take. And I say that because only 3,000 grafts that are bigger grafts would give you that kind of coverage over such a large area. You can't get that kind of coverage with 3,000 naturally occurring follicular units. And so what I'm leading into is that you have a bunch of multi-hair units throughout the top, multi-unit grafts, I should say, throughout the top of your scalp, which in your case is a benefit. It is a benefit because you've got the coverage that you wouldn't have gotten, and the more coverage you have denotes the appearance of more density. Okay, so that's what I'm getting into. So you came out far better than most people in your situation. So you need to count your blessings on this. Forget the crown.
Oh yeah.
You may be able to do another surgery in the future. I'm not going to tell you never to do it, but I am going to tell you that as it stands now, you should be happy with what you have because you didn't get screwed up. You're not walking around like the walking wounded from all these guys that go to Turkey and these really screwed up celebrity joints in England and all this crap that we're seeing. You came out ahead, and you need to really understand that. I can't stress that enough. When I see where it wasn't placed, as Spencer was saying, that's actually a good thing. It means that you got pretty much exactly what you paid for, and because he didn't go into the crown, he actually did you a favor. Because if you'd taken that number of grafts and spread it out even further over the entirety of your crown, then the place where the grafts have been placed now would look thinner because it's the same number of grafts just stretched out over a larger area.
Right.
I mean, and I understand still being upset about feeling that you were misled and not knowing that the doctor wasn't going to be part of the surgery and all those things. Those are all really legitimate gripes that are important to share on the show.
Of course.
You just happen to be one of the guys that fucking lucked out, even though all the stars were not aligned. And that you weren't made aware of the reality of what your surgery was going to be like. You had obviously very good techs, and they did a good job for you. So you're very lucky.
I would bet that if you were to go back into the office for a follow-up, like a 1-year follow-up, the moment you walk out, the doctor would be calling up those techs saying, God damn, I don't even know what happened. Turned out better than I thought.
Yeah.
What the hell?
They'd be high-fiving each other. They'd be having a big dinner. We finally got one that looks good.
Yeah. Can we use your photos?
Like I said, yeah. I was actually going to say, you guys can share my photos too. I don't mind. I'm willing to share with all the brothers that, before and after. But, last week I think it was a week before last one where I had Maria Fowler on it. When you guys asked me a question, do I regret doing what I did? And, in the long run, I'm very happy I went through with it just for that fact that you guys talked about that. I got my hairline back. In fact, I have a lower hairline than I had when I was in my 20s now, believe it or not. And, it looks great. And I just throw the topic on, and I look fantastic. It's like night and day. 20 years younger, 10 years younger, whatever,
We should actually find out who those we should find out who the techs were because
yeah, I actually want to.
Because that they could be used by other mills, and at least that people are going to walk away with a good, good result.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I remember their first names, and she did a good job with my hairline, in my opinion. Compared to, it's not the best natural hairline, like Joe said, but you can't tell pretty much if you're not in the.
I'm going to say this,
industry,
and this is very controversial, but the reality is, I believe I certainly am not advocating the practice of medicine without a license, and I'm certainly not advocating anyone working under the auspices of a physician and performing any parts of a surgical procedure that is against the law in their given state, province, or country. But with that said, this is the way the industry is being run. So in my view, you want to be able to find, if this is what's happening right now and it can't be stopped and legislation is not going to be passed, let the good techs, be known who they are, so that at least patients know, okay, I'm going into this. These techs are doing a great job. These are the techs who I want in the OR when I'm having my surgery. Now, that's very controversial.
Exactly.
The IAHRS and a lot of doctors would be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Spencer? But I liken it to, like, imagine here in California, they want to get rid of, certain factions. I don't like to talk about politics, but if you eliminated all of the illegal immigrants here in California, this state would just grind to a fucking halt.
Implode.
It would just implode. We wouldn't be able to eat. No one would be able to get, lawns would be going, grass would be like 10 feet tall. There would be no construction. Everything would fucking stop. Hotels would stop functioning. Everything would stop functioning. And in a way, that's what would happen in the hair transplant field if a certain faction of doctors were able to get, certain legislation passed like overnight in every state. It would just be all, because these guys would then be like, oh, now what do? We don't know how to fucking do the surgery. What did we get ourselves into? And you guys would be suffering. So I think it's really best to, and that's what I want to do in the IAHRS. And we do have a section now for physicians to highlight their technicians, so at least patients can know who's working on them. Now, sadly, a lot of the doctors don't want to highlight their technicians because they're concerned that the good techs are going to be poached by other doctors. It's a whole fucked up thing. But as a consumer, it's really important for anyone who's listening to this broadcast to walk into that office and say, okay, I'm just naming whoever the doctor is. Say Bob Bernstein, who happens to have very great techs. And ask who their techs are. How much experience do they have? How long have they been working in the clinic with the doctor? Are they traveling techs? And if they are, how long have these techs been doing this particular procedure, whether it's FUE or FUT?
Exactly.
And get a little background about them. Ask them if any of them have ever been, in jail or arrested for anything, or have ever been, caught using illegal substances. Because believe me, there's techs out there that are currently working who they may be high.
They used to deal.
They may be high watching the program, pissed off that we're saying this.
No, if they're high watching the program, they'd be like, busted.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So anyway, dude, your point is you lucked out. You had a good surgery done by technicians, but you just were not aware that it was not the doctor who was going to be doing your surgery, which is fucked up.
Yeah, the only thing I was upset about is how they handled my consultation, how they negotiated the agreement on price, and then how they tried to charge me more after while I was on value. And that stuff pissed me off. But I still am happy with my result. I remember the two technicians worked on me, two females. And I remember specifically the lead one that they flew in was from L.A. area, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember her being very professional and courteous, and I remember her telling me that I'm a delightful client because I don't expect miracles, and she explained to me what she was doing what the doctor I thought was going to do. So she impressed me a lot. And I should have mentioned that earlier before, but she actually really did impress me with how she carried herself and explained the procedure to me and showing me, these are the ones. You have a lot of 3s and 4s. You have a lot of 3s and 4 grafts. We're going to set up these, and so that was great.
I don't think these technicians should be demonized the way that they are, especially when they've been allowed and really they've been trained to do this by physicians and companies, and this is just the nature of the game. So in one side of things, and I think it's because a lot of people in the IAHRS never really believed that FUE would get to this point where they would be like cornered out or pushed out by technicians, groups of technicians opening up their own clinics and doing their own thing. So they didn't foresee the future. I had the crystal ball, and so did Joe, and so did people like Alan Bauman and I actually did an FUE, a neograft warning video in 2008, basically saying this is what's going to happen, and no one paid attention to it.
I actually had a conversation with Ray Woods last year, having dinner with him, and one of my questions to him was, did you ever imagine that your creation would turn into what we have today? He said, that was my biggest fear and my biggest prediction was that it would turn into this.
Well, it was his biggest fear and his biggest prediction. The only thing that I have to that I think if Ray, this is going to sound bad, but if Ray would have listened to me instead of being paranoid that his baby was going to be stolen from him, then he would have really had the opportunity to train these guys, and the old guard would have taken FUE or at the Woods technique seriously at the beginning, and then none of this stuff would have happened. Everyone would have jumped on and learned in time.
It would have been a completely different landscape today had the early days been different with regards to training other doctors, because Dr. Woods, he was offering at one point, he was offering a training program for an exorbitant amount of money, which on paper was a lot of money. That's a tough word
to say, isn't it?
It really is.
Exorbitant. I can't.
Exorbitant? Okay.
Exorbitant. Now you're fucking me up.
Exorbitant.
No. Okay.
Anyway,
no, you said it wrong, and I said it wrong, but go ahead.
Fucking a lot of money. But it was a lot of money on paper, but realistically,
it's $100K.
For $100,000, that's not a lot of money for these clinics because they make it up in no time. But
they ended up having to buy machines that were $100,000 because they waited 10 years.
They spent
long.
that or more anyway. So had these doctors had the foresight and the understanding of what was about to come, you can't blame them because they didn't know, and they're always slow to change anyway. I mean, shit, it took clinics a good solid 7 years to pick up lateral slit technique using flat blades instead of needles. So, and that's just a small change. So switching from strip to FUE and doing FUE the right way, that was a massive jump, which I mean it's hard to predict what was going to happen, but had they taken the leap of faith enough of them at the right time, we would not be in this position that we're in today. I don't even know if the neografts of the world would even exist.
They would not exist.
Yeah.
And if they did, it would be to serve a purpose that would be to actually improve, in my view, the procedure and the lives of patients, as opposed to creating a turnkey model. Now,
keep in mind, I'm using the term neografts as a generic reference to the machines in general.
I also want to make it clear, and I really believe this, I don't see anything wrong with a neograft if it's used by the right person.
Of course.
That's what I had.
They have interchangeable, disposables. They have small punches. Now they're finding. I mean, the big concern was desiccation from suction, but now we're finding out. I mean, you could have more desiccation just from grafts staying on somebody's glove for too long than the suction going through a tube. So, and these are things that we're finding out later. So, it's a good machine. It can work, and if in the right person's hands who knows how to use it, it could work as well as any of these other devices. So I don't want to demonize NeoGraft either. I don't love the model, and I actually think that in general, for any physician to get involved and become partners with any device maker, it really shows a level of naivete as far as being a business person and as far as being an entrepreneur. And it also shows a naivete of the patient not understanding that this is the issue, because people have to cut corners. The more outlay of cash for certain things, the more corners that the clinic has to cut. But otherwise, I've seen some really great results with NeoGraft. And this newer device from some of the guys who I think. Oh, I don't want to say exactly, but it's possible. I think they did work with NeoGraft at one point. But the SmartGraft is, it's a good tool. It's a good device. It's a good small footprint device. But you could also get really great grafts with a $7 punch or a $12 punch. Or how much is a decent handheld punch now, depending on the company.
Well, the more famous. Well, it depends if it's just the punch or like I've seen like the handle and a punch can be up to $250.
$250, yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm not talking about we're talking about the punches themselves.
Anthony Durant or Duranti in the chat room saying NeoGrafts don't pull from the side. NeoGrafts pull from wherever you want it to.
Yeah.
Because the device is on the floor, and then there's a tube that runs to a handle, and it's up to the practitioner where that handle goes. The handle has the punch. It's up to them where it goes. You're talking about the artist. Okay, the artist can go. I saw you posting this earlier.
Yeah.
The later versions of the artist, the robotic head can and do go up on the sides of the scalp. The older versions were limited strictly to the occipital scalp and could not come up around on the sides at all. But now that's different. It can maneuver up on the sides.
And there's actually a smaller footprint. Their newest artists, I have to give them credit. They created a smaller footprint device and a separate chair, which was actually very smart. And something that I actually, I don't want to take credit for it, but something when I was consulting for the company and they probably won't remember this, but that I suggested. I'm like, has to be a smaller footprint situation.
Is anyone there that would remember it?
There's only one person there that would remember that, and there's only one person there from the original company, which is interesting, which really, I think, speaks volumes. But they have made, to give them credit, they have made tremendous strides in the technological side of things, and I got to give Gabe, who is the COO of the company and the head engineer, a lot of props for really pushing things and trying to get things done. His hands have been tied by a lot of, just typical bureaucratic business bullshit. But I think he really cares about trying to make things better.
Hey Warren, did you just flip on your siren? Are you in hot pursuit?
No. I'm actually I'm at home now. I finally got off duty.
I could have swore I just heard
in the background.
Well, then open up a beer, man, if you're off duty. Enjoy yourself. Warren, listen, thank you so much for the call. We're going to take some more phone calls, but I'm really glad,
I just wanted to let you guys.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Spence. I just want to say real quick. I was thinking about that before. Since the tech did such a good job, if she's willing, I'm going to try to get her info on if she's willing to share it with you guys. I'm going to try and see if she'd do that. And then, like I said, if you guys ever want to share my pics with the Bald Truth Brethren, I have no problem with that as well.
I would actually love to know who she is. And actually, we are working on some continuing education, let's put it that way, for technicians. And I think it's very, very important. It's something that the larger organizations won't do because they are really trying to fight against techs. I say, as long as it's legal for them to do it, they're going to do it. So why shouldn't they have be the most knowledgeable they can be so they can actually help patients. If it's going to be done, make sure these people are well trained.
And at this point, there's nothing they can do about it anyway. So might as well do it the right way. Might as well embrace it the right way. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. All right, Warren, listen, I'm really, again, I'm glad you had a good...
And looking at my pictures, and thanks to you too, Spence.
Listen, man, we're here for you, man. Thank you. Thanks for the fact that you keep providing us with your insight and that we love having regular callers, man. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, man. You
All
guys
right.
have a good day now.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling.
Bye now.
All right, guys, 888-659-3727. Again, that's just a cue. Anytime I give out the number, that means I just dropped a line and you guys can get through. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hi, Spencer. Hi, Joe. This is Pitt calling from Naples, Florida.
Hey, Pitt.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Pitt. Yeah.
Hi. Hi, guys.
What's happening, man?
How are you?
Well, I've just finished yesterday hair transplantation with Dr. Charles in Boca, and I just wanted to give you guys a bit of feedback and thank you a lot, basically, for all the info that you've given me over the past few months, because I think I would have been, basically lined up for a major fuck up. I was communicating with Joe a couple of months ago, and I basically told him my situation, that I was planning to have a procedure done. Since we're always coming to Naples, there was a plastic surgeon here who had exactly one of these devices, a neograft that he's marketing very heavily. And I went in and basically, without too much knowledge, he explained me no problem, signed me up, and I think the procedure would have been 2 months later on. I did then a bit of research, and I found out that the guy's actually not even doing the operation. He's flying in also techs from other places, and basically I didn't have a good feeling, and I sent Joe an email, and then he basically he told me to reconsider the whole thing. I did a lot of in-depth sort of research, and then switched, and had now a very good experience with Dr. Charles yesterday. Still recovering a bit. I actually then.
What kind of procedure did you have with Dr. Charles?
I did an FUT procedure.
Okay.
I completely switched because once I kind of understood what it's all about, and it's not about the machine or the brand or anything, and I basically wanted to have the best results. I keep my hair not too short.
Well, if you notice, he's a guy that has several different devices, including the robot, the smart graft, and this is just my opinion, but in my view, he wants to be able to provide people with as many choices, not that they can make the choice themselves, but that he has these tools at hand for the right candidate for whatever particular procedure he believes is best for them. And that speaks volumes for the character, and just the fact that, the guy he's been doing this for a long time, has a certain level of understanding and a skill set to know that, not all devices are going to be good for all patients. Everybody's different.
Yep.
No, absolutely. And I mean, the feeling that I had in there, and, thinking of, sitting on a chair, in somebody else's office, basically with, just a team that's been, flown in a few hours before, it would have been a completely different scenario, and I'm very, very thankful that. Look, it's way too early to say whether my results are going to be good. They look very good. The experience was excellent. The whole team there was very professional. So far so good, and. But basically, that was my experience, and wanted to share that.
I'm glad that you did. Listen, Dr. Charles has been an IAHRS member almost since the beginning of the IAHRS. He's not a founding member, but he was in within a year or so after we founded the IAHRS, and really consistent results. Really cares about his patients. I think he's a good dude as well. But this is what I suggest that a lot of people should do. If you're ever considering having surgery, or flying to a different town, or you know that the technicians are going to be coming in, find out where they're staying, and then go to that bar the night before, the hotel. And I can guarantee you're going to see these people getting loaded, having a good time.
Yeah. Good point.
What do we all do? Let me tell you something. I know myself. As soon as I land and I get to the hotel, the first place I go is to the bar.
Yeah,
that's just natural. That's what people do.
No,
and these people are doing the same thing. So you're dealing with a hangover factor. You're dealing with jet lag in some cases. You're just dealing with people who would work in one city one day and then just beat, and then they have to travel. So there's just so many factors.
Once you're on that chair, you also realize that this is serious. I mean, the person that like basically does it, I mean, it can totally really like, screw you up. And having somebody, doing this for 20 years is something a good feeling to have. So
well, that is a good. But there are also people who've been there's also been people who've been screwing people up for 20 years. I'm going to be honest. So it's not necessarily the length of time that someone's been in the industry. There's some guys out there who've been doing this for 25, 30 years, and they have always sucked. And they're somehow, because of the type of commodity hair transplantation is, they've had good marketing and good PR, and they've been able to somehow make a name for themselves. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't take their money if they offered me 5 times per month to be a part of what I do and what we do. But it doesn't stop them from practicing. So what I like to tell people is it's important, and that's why I mentioned Dr. Charles's experience, that someone has experience and that you go to a real hair transplant surgeon. But the length of time in the industry doesn't necessarily equate to them being good at what they do.
Because if they've been doing it long enough, they used to do plugs and say that it looked good.
Right. So he just happened to kind of get in. We're close in age. He's maybe 2 or 3 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So
very energetic.
Well, he's
in a great tan.
He's in great shape. Yeah. He's like the. I'm pretty tan myself because I'm in California. But who's that guy? That actor's always tan.
Yeah.
Who's the guy?
George.
He's a George Hamilton of hair transplants.
George Hamilton.
Yeah. So
No. So, but I just wanted to tell your listeners. I mean, if you really you have to do the research and what you guys always say. Otherwise, I mean, the problem really is if you do let's say Google search in your area, what comes out is I mean, I'm sure they pay for the leads and everything. Are these devices, and somebody might think that's the only thing. And I mean, just the fact that I actually switched from an FUE to an FUT, knowing probably that the results might be better or at least not worse, and the scar that I probably can live with that one. So
I can tell you this:
tells you something.
Glenn makes more money doing an FUE, so he guided you into the FUT direction for a reason, and that was in his mind. It was for your best interest because he'd be able to charge you more for an FUE.
Sure. No, absolutely.
So I'm glad. I really appreciate you taking the time to call. It's always good to hear a good story. And you know what?
Yeah.
Keep us abreast. Keep us aware of what's happening. You're going to have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
In a month from now, you could be like, "Oh shit, what did I do?"
I know.
I
know. Maybe I'm. Yeah, no, but I doubt it.
No, but what I'm saying is, even if it ends up being a great result, it's just that is the nature of this roller. It's an emotional roller coaster that people start to have doubts after a month or 2 months in. They go through an ugly duckling stage, and they're freaked out.
Yeah,
that's what we're here for, to talk you off the ledge and hopefully guide you in a direction where you're not stressed over your recovery. So so feel free to call.
Thank you very much, and thanks, Joe, for leading me to the right direction. Huh?
You're welcome. My pleasure. Glad it worked out for you.
Thank you.
Good luck, man.
Bye, guys.
All right,
Thank you very
take
much.
care.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Phone number 888-659-3727. Again, I give out the number. That is a cue that I dropped the line. Another line is open. So if you're having trouble getting in, if you call in now, you'll probably get through. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey guys, it's Jessie over in Hermosa Beach.
Hey Jessie, what's happening?
Hey Jessie.
Not too much. How's it going tonight?
You know what? Pretty good. Crazy busy show.
And it's beautiful outside. Too bad you guys can't be out right now.
Oh, I'm going to be out. I'm ending this shit at 7 sharp. And I'm going to.
And I was out earlier, and I'm going back out afterwards.
That's an hour left in happy hour, so I'm going.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So I had a FUE. I'm about 7 weeks out. 1,100 grafts with Dr. Dauer. I called in. Yeah, I called in about, what was it? I want to say like 3 weeks ago, about some like patchy, what I thought to be shock loss. It looked like.
Right.
So I went to see Dr. Dauer. He said, excuse me, all the hair's still there. It doesn't look like it's lost. He said it just looked like it was like a different color, like almost clear, I guess, or I don't know. Anyway, so translucent would be a good word.
Yeah.
So he told me just to wait it out and come see him again if it didn't change. About 2-3 weeks, pretty much all gone. Everything looks back to normal. There's like one new spot, which is kind of weird, but I'm going to wait it out and keep doing what I'm doing. So, I mean, it looks to have pretty much resolved. So I just wanted to update you guys if anybody else has that.
He has a really excellent track record, and normally I would say, and again, none of these guys have a crystal ball. Normally, it's when you go in, if there's a problem, he's not the type of guy who's just going to try to allay your fears. He'll be like, "Oh shit, we got a problem here," and he'll let you know. You know what I mean? Because
you actually sounded like him when you said it just there.
Yeah, he wants to address it right away. He's one of those dudes. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's gonna completely resolve itself.
Yeah, it looks to be that way. So that set me at ease a little bit. So
well, that's great, man. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, and also I went. I was worried about the redness going back to work and stuff. I went back to work. Nobody said one thing about it, which is cool. I was gonna tell anybody who asked anyway, but it's nice. Nobody said anything. It's pretty much noticed.
No, that's great. I mean, they are talking about you behind your back. Just realize that, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
Yeah. Well, listen. It's not. Listen. It sounds like you're in a good spot and a good place right now. And again, that's why the caller who just called in before, who went to Dr. Charles, who's like, "I just had surgery yesterday. Everything's great." He's gonna have an oh shit moment. Everyone does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so these are all great stories that even if you have an oh shit, what did I do moment, usually those issues will resolve. That ugly duckling stage, that potential shock loss in the donor, or shock loss in the recipient, or all the things that a lot of people may not be fully prepared for, didn't fully read the consent form, weren't fully awake during the consultation. I always recommend that people actually record their consultation and ask the doctor if they can record the consultation, so that they can go back and say, oh, wait a second, he did say this could happen to me, so that there's no surprises. But most people don't. Listen, I'm getting some weird feedback from your phone, so we're gonna let you go. But
well, I appreciate it, guys, and I'll keep following up.
All right, man. Listen, thanks a lot.
Thanks for the
Good
updates.
luck, and I think things are gonna be great. Take care.
Cool. See ya.
All right. Bye bye. Phone number is 888-659-3727. Jesus, almost an hour and 31 minutes. Straight phone calls, guys. We will take a couple more phone calls before we call it a night. I may call the show a little early tonight.
Not a bad thing, because lots of stuff to do, but some great calls tonight. And I wish Jesse's. I think it was Jessie. Was his name Jessie? Hermosa Beach. Yeah. Anyway, I wish there wasn't so much background noise, but great call so far. Absolutely.
Jesse's girl. What are you doing?
Who, me?
You look busy. Oh, okay.
Let's see.
All right, guys, I'm going to give out the phone number. If you want to call in, we will stay. It's 888-659-3727. If you don't, we're just going to call it a night. Again, I wanted to make it clear that I think it's great for people to go out there and talk about surgical hair restoration. And now that it's kind of like a socially accepted, in most cases, form of cosmetic surgery. But the problem with that is it's become so socially accepted and so commoditized that and the way that it's being commoditized is that it's just some simple walk in the park. And people who are going out there having hair transplants are now going on YouTube, and just because they went under the knife does not make them an expert. You know what it makes them? A hair transplant patient.
Exactly.
That is it.
And I think it's important to understand, like, to reiterate again, there's nothing wrong with them going out and trying to make a dollar, make a living, whatever. But it's a very simple formula when you're in this industry, that if you want to make some sort of living in this industry, you have to take the slow road to do it the right way. You can't be expected to be, I don't want to say be taken seriously, but you can't be expected to have any sort of real legitimacy just because you had a surgery and you read the internet a lot and you're just regurgitating. I mean, one of these guys online, he's literally looking at a computer screen and reading verbatim from a computer screen while he's on camera.
He's also read stuff that I wrote.
And I wrote. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like he reads directly from your website. He reads directly from my website when he's talking about specific. That's great. I mean, it just reinforces the legitimacy of our information. But I think it's important for people to know that if you want to make a living in this industry, there's nothing wrong with it. But the right way to do it, to actually have any sort of legs to it, you need to be honest with not just yourself, obviously, but with your audience by saying, this is my experience and this is why I know this is why I know I'm talking about in this regard. Because people see through you. Like when you're dishing out all this information, a lot of people are asking themselves, where does this guy get this information from? What's his background? Why should I listen to this guy?
I'm going to contradict you there. I don't think a lot of people are asking that. I think a lot of people are just sitting there like, especially guys who are under the age of 30 now.
Well, okay,
they're just sitting there like, this is entertaining. He's obviously chock full of information. I'm going to like this guy's shit. I'm going to comment on it. I'm going to follow his lead because this is what it is. And I can't blame these kids. I understand that. That's the way the world works.
Well, let me correct myself then. What I'm talking about is,
yes, please do.
If they want to work with others in this industry, like if they want to approach clinics to say, let's work together, then you need to have something more than, I've got subscribers and I can, pay me this much money and I'll send people your way. I mean, you'll get success with some people, but those are the lower rung people in the industry that no one really takes seriously to begin with. If you want to work, and have any sort of legitimacy on that level, you got to have some legs to your existence.
Yeah, but you're giving advice. It's almost like trying to be rational with an irrational person. You're giving rational advice to people who may not, their goal may be just to make a living from this. So if their goal is just to make a living and make money from it, they can go for the low-hanging fruit. The low-hanging fruit is going to pay these guys in some cases. And that's what, this is more for the consumer. I mean, you can't direct these guys. They're going to go in any direction they can to make a living. And I'm okay with.
And I've tried, actually. I've tried reaching out to a couple of these guys to say, hey, look, you know what? If you want the real information, feel free to run some things by me. I'll let you know if it's real or not. And of course, it fell on deaf ears. They've not even gotten back to me. That's fine. But I think I just look at this and it's like, when you're constantly scheming, and when I say scheming, I mean it in the true sense of the word, not in the sense of scamming. I mean scheming, like coming up with ideas on how to make money. When you're constantly having to juggle, and that's what you have to do when you're going for that low hanging fruit. I think it's more trouble in the long run than it's worth, as opposed to sticking with stuff that you don't have to remember if you said it once before or not. That you have to. When you're speaking the truth, you don't have to think back. Oh, wait, did I say it right the first time? 6 weeks ago. You don't have to worry about keeping your story straight. If your story's straight because you're being honest, then that's the long game, and you don't have to worry about finding different avenues for generating revenue. I just think it comes naturally if you have an honest message.
Well, and that's all fucking sage advice for any entrepreneur trying to get into this field. But the reality is, no one gives a fuck. And it's not even saying that these guys are bad people. They don't even know that they're doing, it could be harmful. I really believe that they don't. They have no fucking clue. That's just the way they are doing what they think they need to do in order to make a living.
It's a level of ignorance, and I don't mean. I just mean a level of lack of awareness,
knowledge. Yeah,
lack of knowledge that makes this entire discussion I'm pushing right now completely moot.
Right. I mean, we could just say
we
could be holier than thou and say, you need to do this, and you need to really be a critical thinker, and you need to learn and pay your dues and be in the trenches and to really understand how the industry works in order to guide people safely. That's a wonderful fucking message, but it's a waste of time.
But
yeah,
it's a useless message.
It's a useless message.
Yeah.
But what has to be done is the consumer has to know what to look for. And if they want to follow certain people and they're entertained, that's fucking great. Just know it's your head, it's your life that you're putting on the line. So wherever you get the information from, make sure it is solid fucking info. That's it. That's your responsibility. Our job here is to try to give you that solid info. And yeah, I mean, Joe and I have worked the long game. I've worked along. That was always my thing. I would always tell people, this is it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So, yes, that guy, David, whoever is going to say that this is bragging again, but the reality is I could open the doors to what I do, and there are, I don't know, how many applications? Almost 1,500 doctors applied to the organization. How much money would that be? You guys couldn't even count it if we took the money. That's the reality of the situation. But I believe in the long game, and that is, don't worry about the quick dollar, because the quick dollar is going to get you in trouble. I believe in selling good medicine, or the information on good medicine, and not necessarily selling it to the public. And
exactly.
So the model that was created was a very unique model that a lot of people don't fully grasp. So,
in more ways than one.
Yeah. So, just be careful, guys. We'll take another phone call, then we're going to call it a night. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from? Hey, what's up, man?
Hello?
Yeah, hey.
Oh, hey. Sorry. This is Anthony. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Anthony. Where are you calling from?
California, San Francisco.
What's happening?
How's it going?
I thought about so many questions to ask, and I realized they swim in my head. And I think if I were to ask one question is, I want to ease my mind. I'm going into an FUE procedure in 2 weeks. I've done a lot of research. Some was through Joe and his recommendations. Can I say the doctor that I'm meeting with?
Sure. Say whatever you want.
Okay. It's Dr. Baubac in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to tell you what set him apart from a lot of the other people I've talked to on the phone. Actually, I haven't talked to him, which is one issue. I talked to one of his patient consultants. Is that a lot of these people that have I don't want to say they're gatekeepers for the surgeons, but they're people you talk to that they call them patient consultants or whatever. They get you ready for the procedure. Usually they come at you full bore with whatever their opinions are. And it's a little scary. They come at you almost like, I don't know, you know what I mean? This guy that was at this clinic, Dr. Baubac, who worked with him, the guy didn't. He took his time with me, and he really took his time and seemed to be caring. I don't know. It's L.A. It could be an actor. Who knows? But I'm just saying that it made a difference in me making a decision, along with Joe's suggestion about what to ask for and his reputation and looking at him on videos, the doctor, and all of that.
Of course.
Very nice.
This patient consultant's not going to be there when I'm doing the procedure, I realized. And it kind of freaked me at first because I realized I have no connection at this office other than this guy I've talked to. Not that it's much on the phone because I've never been seen by the doctor. They did a treatment plan over through pictures and through email. And it looked good, the treatment plan of what I know. And I'm going through it. But I guess I don't know if there's more prep I should do.
Why don't you take it? Why don't you get in your car? It's a 5-hour drive and go meet Dr. B.
Problem solved.
Well, I guess it wasn't suggested, and I didn't push it. So I don't know what to do with it. I already have plans.
If that's what you want to do,
if
it's going to help you, then say, look, you know what? I'd like to meet the doctor. I just want him to see me in person so that, that the plan that was given to me online and through pictures and through Skype really is a realistic plan. And I want to make sure that I have realistic expectations, or that I won't be disappointed on the day of surgery.
And I just want to know if this even came up in discussions. Like, did you ask if you could speak to the doctor? Was this ever even in any of your discussions?
I don't recall. I find this whole thing is, it's intimidating. It's emotional. I'm trying the best I can to make an intelligent decision. That's why I said, kind of half joking in the chat, you need a psychologist on there, because people are escalated in their emotions when they're talking, and I'm no different. I'm just trying to make the best decisions I have. But now it's 2 weeks out. He's not going to meet me. I doubt it.
Why not? Why do you think why would you assume he's not going to meet you?
Why? I guess because you're just at an arm's distance. I've been put at such an arm's distance getting this procedure.
Yeah, but you're in control. You're in complete control. This is what, and this is a really important phone call, guys. By the way, so listen to this. You own this surgery. You are in control of it. You are paying. I don't care. And Doc, I love Dr. B. All these guys, I'm not even going to say this because they're going to think it's rude, but just think of them as people you're hiring. That's it. They're working for you. You call the fucking shots. Now, once you are injected with that anesthetic, and once you're given that Valium, and once you're in that chair, they are running the show, of course. But until that point, you call the shots. So you're paying the bill. They want to make sure that that check clears or that credit card goes through. They want to make sure that they're not going to be dealing with some sort of a nut job at the end, or somebody who's unhappy who has unrealistic expectations. So a lot of these guys are almost relieved to be able to see somebody in person and get an idea of who this person is that they're dealing with.
They're relieved to see someone that is so concerned about their own well-being that they say, you know what, this is great. Glad to hear about this treatment plan.
Right.
I'm going to hop in my car, hang left, and drive down the I-5 for a few hours. I'm going to come see, or hop in a plane for a 45-minute flight. What's it cost?
You can leave at $9. 9. You can meet him at 2.
Yeah.
It's not a big fucking deal. So what I'm saying is you control all of this. Don't believe just because this is a normal protocol, and listen, it's a business. So this is how it works. You're calling from out of town. This is the person that you're dealing with. You call him a gatekeeper, they call him a patient coordinator. The doctor is busy having consults, at the facility and performing surgery. So if you can't take the time to have your own personal consult with him, then he's going to use whatever means possible to get all of your information, to make the best assessment that they can while he's busy doing what's happening in the practice, face-to-face stuff. You still have that option 2 weeks out. You can call tomorrow and say, you know what? I feel very comfortable with Dr. Baubac. I think that it's been great service so far. But it would make me feel even more comfortable if I can meet with him before the surgery. Is that okay? They will fit you in.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess it's just
100%.
a lot. I mean, it would have been great if they suggested, to talk to him or Skype or something. They didn't. I guess I maybe just got intimidated by the address or who knows what. But other places I have talked to the doctor, through Skype or whatever, and it was part of their procedure. I didn't care for them for other reasons. But, so I guess it's a little bit of a shock. Now it's 2 weeks out, so I have to decide, what am I going to do?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't mind telling you one thing I know I know about the clinic, and I think this is it depends on how you look at it. It's a plus or a minus for the clinic. And, I considered this deeply when I was considering our relationship, and it makes sense. And that issue is that when and I think I talked about this in my introductory video about him, when he starts talking about hair, you have to be the one to get him to stop. He does not stop talking about hair. He is such a geek when it comes to the art of hair restoration, the science, of hair restoration. You get him talking about topical finasteride. He doesn't shut up. You get him talking about temple point reconstruction. He doesn't shut up. I mean, the only reason he shuts up if it segues into recreating a crown whirl or whatever. I mean, he doesn't stop. And I've talked to his support staff, and sometimes they're like, yeah, sometimes we don't like him doing consultations only because one consultation will take 4 hours. And then it makes the surgery that he's in last that much longer for the patient. It's like he's so I can see why they may not offer that up, to every person. But I do know that if you ask for it, then they're not going to say no. They'll say yes. But I also know that they're kind of biting their nails like, shit, we're going to watch them again because it's going to take another 4 hours. So, I mean, it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek laughing moment, but at the same time, it's true. I mean, he does like to talk about hair, and the discussion can run longer than maybe it should from a business perspective. So I think that I think that it is your duty to bring this up. I mean, it's your duty to bring up any question that you may have. It's your duty to bring up any concern that you may have. But I understand also the position that you're in, because you do. It is emotional, and it's like you're almost like a deer in headlights when you start getting involved with this kind of thing, because you're being told all these different things that you have to.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not your first time, but it doesn't matter.
You do owe yourself right now, since you are calling the program and saying that this is the one aspect of your research that is making you nervous.
Yeah.
Why even, I don't know if you're driving or flying to get the surgery, but why even have that on your mind the day of the surgery? Why not resolve that the best way that you can? If you choose to resolve it via Skype and have a consultation or speak to Dr. Baubac through Skype, and that will give you a better, sense of things and a little bit of peace of mind, then why not do that? Or even better, I would see. I'm the type of nut that I would get in the car and drive. That's who I am. That's what I do.
Okay, well, I get it. All right, I get it. I don't think it's eased my mind. It's just filled it up more. But that's okay. I can process it and then spit out something. You've given me some examples.
Well, just process this. That it's really, the main thing is hop on a plane, hop in the car. You're in control. Go talk to the guy. It's as simple as that.
And if you don't want to go that far, at
difficult.
the very least, set up a FaceTime or Skype.
Yeah, I think that's good. Okay.
All right, man.
Okay. Thank you.
Keep it simple. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just keep it simple, and it will work out.
I think we're past that.
The point of this advice was to get you to the point where you're more relaxed on the day of surgery.
I get it. Of course. Yeah. Of course. Got it.
All right, man. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for calling.
I don't know what to say.
Wow.
I didn't mean to fuck them up like that, but you know how I am. Like, if that's a concern, then go figure it out. It's an easy thing to figure out.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you're in the same state, so how much can it cost for a round trip flight in the same day? It's like hop on a JetBlue.
It doesn't cost anything. It's a couple $100
from San Fran to L.A.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been less, but still, I mean, best couple $100 he could spend.
Well, that's round trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like I can fly to Vegas from Vancouver for $100 round trip. So
yeah, but that's Vegas.
I thought it would be at least that.
That's like Southwest. You can do the same thing, but yeah.
Still, so yeah, the point is, it's the best couple $100 that anyone would ever spend just to confirm. Not just confirm the information, but I mean, it also helps to confirm what they think about the location, the feeling that they get from the actual interaction in person with the clinic, the people involved with the clinic, the doctor, and who knows, maybe he'll be like, you know what, I'm glad I came here. I don't want to have surgery.
He said something interesting. He goes, maybe he's intimidated by the address. Dude, I'm in Beverly Hills right now. It doesn't mean shit. It's just you are somehow able to pay the rent. That's it. It doesn't mean
that's a good way of putting it.
Just because somebody is practicing in Beverly Hills does not make them a better or worse. It's kind of like Harley Street,
Yeah, it just means they got to charge more per graft just to pay that rent.
Right, they're able to pay the rent. They have enough. They have enough business to pay the rent and say that they're a Beverly Hills cosmetic surgeon. That's all that it means. Now there are doctors who will disagree with that. Especially those who lead with the Beverly Hills sign on their websites and these Beverly Hills plastic surgeons and all this stuff. But you know what? All you have to do is go around this neighborhood right now, around my office, and look at the women out there. They've all had surgery from Beverly Hills plastic surgeons, and a lot of them are walking around, in my view, like the walking wounded.
Yeah.
They didn't go out of state to have surgery because they figured, I'm in Beverly Hills. I'm going to have a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon pump up my face to the point of no return.
And hopefully, with Kylie Jenner having her lip injections or lip implants removed, that'll be a thing of the past. Maybe that'll be a trendsetter.
Well, I don't think it will be, but yeah, I think that it will be. I mean, hopefully for younger kids. Now, there was a person in the chat room that said something very smart.
Okay, not Kylie Jenner, whatever, one of the Jenner chicks. You know what I'm talking about.
What's her name?
One of them. I don't know. Fuck, I don't even care. Just one of the Jenner chicks I just saw.
I was going to say something, but then that dick's going to say I'm bragging. My neighbor. There's a place right across from my place.
Oh, that's right. You're bragging to me offline about that.
Yeah. I'm name dropping. Fucking people, man. I'm sorry that I somehow made it in this world. What do you want me to fucking do? Anyway, Dovsh, I can't pronounce this, and I can't even see it. DAVH10 said something really smart, and I think it's a great analogy to use, and I'm going to steal it. Essentially, he writes, or I'll tell you what he wrote. He wrote, it's one thing to give a story about your experience. Another thing to claim you're an expert. If he had any other kind of surgery, even a root canal, would it give him the right to rate dentists? That's fucking brilliant.
God damn.
That is fucking brilliant.
You win the internet today.
Yeah.
DovH10. You win. You win the internet. Good job.
That is exactly what it's like, except it's hair, so it's not taken as seriously. I did have a root canal not too long ago, my first one. I can tell you that because of the type of person I am, I may be an expert in root canals at this point. However, there's no way that that's going to give me any license or ability to know which doctor is doing the best what endodontist out there is doing the best root canals on the most consistent basis.
Yeah, it's like I had like my PRK laser surgery. Doesn't mean I'm an expert on, not an expert, but I know a lot about it. But I'm not going to start, laserEyeSurgeryMentor.com.
Right. That's right. The only reason I'm an expert in this field is because I have been in this field. I already bought it.
.com.
I've been in this field for so long, and we honestly know where all the bodies are buried. And being a clearinghouse, having resources that have become the clearinghouse for complaints, has given me a tremendous amount of leverage as far as that level of expertise.
Yep.
That's just the way that it is. There's years in the trenches, knowing everything that's going on. You cannot get that from reading stuff online. It doesn't exist. We can guide people in the best possible direction, and people can then regurgitate that information. That's about the best they can do. But they're still not going to know it. It's not going to be ingrained. They're not going to be a Joe Tillman. We're going to call it a night, guys. Thanks so much for all of your phone calls. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to like the program on Joe's Facebook page. Do me a favor. I know I just essentially just put up a clip the other day on the Bald Truth, but the podcast will be up there, and also the video podcast. And also, we are going to be updating iTunes. I have a whole 20 shows that are just going to go up this week. So subscribe to the broadcast, the podcast on iTunes. That's the Bald Truth, of course. Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth on iTunes. It's through GFQ, Guys from Queens Network. That really helps the program. Continue to subscribe and like Joe's page. Joe's supposed to be working on another page, which he has not been. Which
Hair
is
Transplant Podcast.
Hair Transplant Podcast on YouTube. Like that as well.
Link is in the chat room. Not only like it, subscribe to it, click the little belly dealio to get notified of new uploads whenever they happen next year. And No, that is actually a great channel because that is where the hair transplant undercover series is being shared, and it is incredible information. Will blow your mind with some of these technicians and doctors with the shadow, you don't know who they are, will tell you about what really goes on in the hair transplant industry, including like how some of these doctors literally, I never use that word, but they literally do not know what they're doing with a hair transplant. That's how bad some of these people are. Where the technician comes in, they do the entire surgery, and the doctors can't even explain the procedure to the patients. They just say, like someone said to me the other day in an email. Actually, no, the way Maria Fowler said it is just explained to her. They're just moving hair from one place to another. That's the way some of these doctors are explaining it. It's criminal. Absolutely criminal.
Well, guys, you heard it. Joe says everyone's a criminal.
Exactly.
Anyway, listen. Websites, thebaldtruth.com, IAHRS.org. Sign up on The Bald Truth it says newsletter, but actually you'll be getting, if you put your email address in there, you will be getting the podcast sent directly to your inbox, the video podcast, and clips that are just going to be on The Bald Truth. Also check out guys from Queens.com, hairtransplantmentor.com, which is Joe Tillman's personal hair transplant journey and his website. That's his place. That's his space on the internet. Besides,
with traffic shooting through the roof. Unbelievable traffic.
I get douche chills every time you brag, dude.
Well, I am bragging because I'm very proud of it. I built that mofo from scratch. It's only 4 years old, and it is one of the most trafficked hair loss, hair restoration websites on the web. Not even close to Bald Truth Talk, but it's growing and it's doing great. And thank you guys for visiting it. Check it out. If you one thing you can check it out for is for the terms and definitions. If you have any questions about specific things that you're seeing online, you can go to that website and look up terms and definitions to learn more about what you're hearing. Also, I would like to send a shout out to hairlossexperiences.com. It is a forum for hair restoration, hair loss sufferers, and they are one of the good guys in the industry. They are working with us to allow us to stream this broadcast and this show through their property, hairlossexperiences.com. I do encourage everyone to sign up and jump onto the thread where the show is listed and thank the administrators for allowing us to be on their property.
Has there been a single motherfucker who's done that? Not one guy has done that.
No one's shown their gratitude. Dude, guys, come on. Go say thank you. It's worth it. It really is.
All right, guys.
You might learn something.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Gave you all the websites. Not going to continue. I guess baldtruthtalk.com, our message forum. And we will be doing another live broadcast on Friday. Yeah, I mean, we have to figure out if we want to keep it private or not, Joe. I mean, I think it's cool. I don't know.
We'll see, because I was doing it because I wasn't sure how YouTube. I mean, we can try to clean up the language, but then
I don't have to. Dude, I was on radio forever.
But can you go back?
I can, for sure.
But can I go back?
No. Here's the thing. I don't think it's a problem, honestly, to use F-bombs. It doesn't have to be 18 or over. If there's any real sexual content.
Hold on. Sorry, I gotta cut you off. Anthony Durrani, you're there. It's a messy board. So what? Seriously,
what does that
why
mean?
even say that? He went to Hair Loss Experiences. He's like, where is it? I'm not sure where it is. I said it's hairlossexperiences.com. He goes, I'm there. It's a messy board. So, why even make that comment? The guy he's helping us out. He's helping us get the word out.
He's helping you out.
Allowing us to, yeah, exactly.
Not you personally. I'm talking about the consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. General hair loss topics, I think. Anyway, sorry to cut you off. It's just like, why it's right there in the middle of the page. It's still there on the front. General hair loss forum. You should be able to see it pretty easy.
Look, but I will say that, and I appreciate your passion, Joe. But Anthony's he's one of the nicer guys in the room. Or he's a nice guy.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know he is.
Give the fucking guy a break. All right, guys, listen, thanks so much for hanging out. We're gonna continue to be consistent. We're gonna do the show live again on Friday. That is 2 p.m. here on the West Coast, 5 p.m. on the East Coast, and in the UK that's 10 p.m. What? Did I say the wrong?
No. Saline says, "Oh yeah, it is a messy board though." I was about to type, "Well, yeah, well maybe they should use a condenser microphone."
That's terrible.
I'm just messing.
Guys, thanks so much for everything that you do. I mean, believe me, every like, every share of the show, every phone call, you're helping people. You're part of a movement that really needs to grow again. You know, like it was 20 years ago when I was on the radio doing my thing. It was a very unique time in the history of hair transplant surgery and in the history of the industry itself. We were able to affect change within 2.5 years. And what that means is it went from mini and micros and plugs to most of the guys in the field doing follicular unit transplantation because of the financial pressure that was created by the bald truth and everything that we created. We need to do that again now, and it's going to be even more difficult because the internet is vast. There's so many fucking guys who are getting into this, so many guys who are claiming to be experts and giving you guys advice. So you need to share this information. You need to be a part of everything, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to tune in and to like Joe's page, sign up to my shit, and just spread the word. Until next time, be strong. God bless, and thank you so much for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.
Bud Light presents Real American Heroes.
Real American heroes.
Today we salute you, Mr. Really Bad Toupee Wearer.
Mr. Really Bad Toupee Wearer.
More than any neon sign or exploding scoreboard ever could, your chrome dome cover says, "Hey guys, look at me."
What could you be thinking?
You think it looks natural, but it couldn't look phonier if it had a chin strap.
Couldn't fool a blind man.
Made of space-age fibers, it can repel anything. Rain, wind, snow, and especially young women.
I don't think so.
So crack open an ice-cold Bud Light, Mr. Stud in a Rug. Then crack open another for that thing on your head.
I don't think it's all straight.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
I just noticed something that in one of your interviews with John Candy, I believe, it looked like an older interview, you had less hair than you have today. How do you explain that?
I always hear a lot of guys calling in, and they're always like, down and out